It's what's it coming down the track?
Pat McAfee is booming in the sports media world. He's gifted and engaging as an off-script host. But here's a question. How many people remember him for what he originally did in his playing days? He did have some memorable throws and onside kicks, yet he specialized as a punter. Some of you might have thought he played a position of higher value, but that's what makes Pat special. He blazed a trail to become the go-to show of football through his journey that all started from the bottom. So, was Pat McAfee actually any good? Well, it all started back when Pat grew up in Plum, Pennsylvania, and from a young age, it was clear that he was different. Known for his confidence and humor, even as a kid, McAfee was drawn to sports. But it wasn't football that initially captured his attention. In fact, he was a standout soccer player, which later influenced his style as a punter. He was known for his leg strength even as a teen, often catching the attention of coaches with his booming kicks. But as with many multi-sport athletes, football came calling. McAfee transitioned into kicking and punting in high school, quickly making a name for himself with his strong leg and quirky personality. However, it wasn't all smooth sailing. At one point, Pat had to borrow $100 from a friend to enter a poker competition just to raise the money he needed to attend a kicking camp in Miami. The gamble paid off when he not only won $1,400 playing poker, but also won the kicking competition, which led to a scholarship offer from West Virginia University. At WVU, McAfee's legend began to take shape. He wasn't just a good punter, he was the guy teammates wanted to be around. His personality was as much a part of his identity as his skill on the field. He played in some big-time games, including multiple bowl games, and was known for his ability to switch between the role of kicker and punter, something that is not as common as you might think. One of the defining moments of his college career came in the 2008 Fiesta Bowl, where McAfee hit a crucial field goal, helping WVU upset the heavily favored Oklahoma Sooners. That game was one of the moments that put him on the radar of NFL scouts. His college stats were solid, but what really stood out was his ability to handle pressure. The bigger the moment, the more relaxed and confident he seemed to get. The seeds of the media personality we see today were clearly planted during this time. Whether it was locker room stories, trash talk on the field, or the quirky way he'd handle interviews, Pat was building his brand long before he even reached the NFL. Pat McAfee entered the 2009 NFL Draft and was selected by the Indianapolis Colts in the 7th round. Let's be honest, punters don't usually get much attention in the draft, but McAfee was different. He was coming into a Colts team that was already stacked with talent, led by Peyton Manning, and expected to compete for Super Bowls. This wasn't a team that was looking for a punter to change their fate, but rather a reliable specialist who wouldn't screw things up. In his rookie season, McAfee performed solidly, averaging 44.3 yards per punt, which is respectable, though not earth-shattering. But punting isn't just about raw numbers. It's about strategy, placement, hang time, and the ability to control field position. And McAfee excelled in those areas. One of his specialties was coffin corner kicks, punts that pinned the opposing team deep in their own territory. His consistency in this area made him a valuable asset for the Colts defense. As McAfee's career progressed, he became one of the most reliable punters in the league. In 2014, he was selected to his first Pro Bowl and was named first team All-Pro. He led the league that year in touchbacks on kickoffs, showing that his strong leg was an advantage, not just in punting, but in all special teams duties. But it wasn't just his punting that made McAfee memorable during his NFL career. It was his personality, whether it was jumping into the stands after big plays, engaging in playful trash talk with opposing players, or becoming a fan favorite for his outspoken nature. McAfee had a flair for the drama, and let's not forget his infamous fake punt in 2014 when he successfully ran for a first down against the Cincinnati Bengals, catching everyone off guard. And then there were the fearless tackles that McAfee would enforce on returners. I mean, look at this hit. You just don't see this type of effort from kickers. Pat was a dog. He carried himself like a linebacker, but still had a dad bod with a beer belly, and he didn't want to be perceived as just a kicker. Plays like that highlighted his ability to influence the game and make an impact beyond traditional punting. punting stats. Another significant moment in his NFL career came during the 2016 season when McAfee announced his retirement at the age of just 29. Many were shocked. After all, he had just come off of one of his best seasons and seemed to have plenty left in the tank, but McAfee made it clear he had other passions and football wasn't the only thing in his life. Little did we know at the time that this decision would set him on a path to becoming one of the most recognizable media personalities in sports. Alright, time to get real. Was Pat McAfee actually a great punter? Let's be brutally honest. The answer is yes, he was good. But was he the best? Not quite. When you compare him to other elite punters like Shane Leckler, Johnny Hecker, or Ray Guy, the gold standard for punters, McAfee's stats fall just short of all-time greatness. He never led the league in gross punting average, and while he was a two-time Pro Bowler, he didn't dominate the position over a long stretch like the absolute legends of the game. However, McAfee excelled in areas that stats don't always capture. He was a master at pinning teams deep in their own territory, ranking consistently among the best in terms of punts downed inside the 20-yard line. He also had the raw power to flip fields throughout his entire career, hitting at least one 60-yard punt in every season of his tenure in the NFL, including a 74-yarder in 2016. His versatility in handling kickoffs and his football IQ also set him apart. McAfee was definitely above average in terms of overall impact, just maybe not in the greatest ever conversation. One of McAfee's best and funniest highlights came not on a punt but on a field goal, where Pat was assigned to be the placeholder. Except on this particular play, the Colts were lining up to attempt a fake field goal where McAfee would throw a touchdown pass to a lineman in the flat. However, that would not come to fruition, with McAfee screaming towards his team to call the play off, audibling at the line to call a regular field goal. After the successful kick, head coach Chuck Pagano asked McAfee what he saw that allowed him to know the Steelers were tipped off to the play call, and he accurately assessed that Hall of Fame safety Troy Polamalu guessed the play call, so Pat potentially saved a game-altering play from happening. Unfortunately, he's not going to make it into the Hall of Fame as a punter. The Hall has incredibly high standards for special teamers, and while McAfee's career was impressive, it wasn't long or dominant enough to earn a spot in Canton. But that doesn't mean he wasn't really good at what he did. He absolutely was. If McAfee was good on the field, he's been downright incredible off it. Since retiring from the NFL, McAfee has become one of the most successful sports media personalities in the world. From his YouTube show, which regularly garners millions of views, to his appearances on WWE, and now his massive deal with ESPN, McAfee has shown he's more than just an ex-punter. He's a full-blown media mogul. What separates McAfee from other former athletes turned media personalities? It's his authenticity. He brings the same passion, humor, and candidness to his shows that he did as a player. Whether he's talking to Aaron Rodgers or breaking down NFL games, McAfee keeps it real, and fans love him for it. In a world where so many sports shows feel scripted and formulaic, McAfee's unfiltered approach is refreshing. He's not just good at this, he's great. In fact, you could argue he's far more successful in the media than he ever was as a player. Maybe that's the point. He's found his true calling, and it wasn't on the football field, so fair play to him for hanging up the cleats early. In the media sphere, he truly was a pioneer, being the first YouTube show to get signed by a major sports network. After years of growing the Pat McAfee Show as its own entity on social media, which currently sits at 2.6 million subscribers with just under 9,000 videos posted, McAfee signed an $85 million contract with ESPN to air the show live. As one of the former player podcasters to take to social media, like Taylor Lewin and Will Compton from Bussin' with the Boys and the Kelsey brothers on the New Heights podcast, McAfee has risen to the very top of the mountain. Arguably, McAfee's all-time greatest media highlight came in 2023 on College Game Day in the preview for one of the most iconic rivalries in football, Georgia versus Alabama. When asked who he was picking for the matchup, McAfee immediately broke into a chant that got the entire building roaring.
It's what's that coming down the track? It's the mean machine in the red and black. Go dogs, go dogs.
And with the Georgia fans at the moon, McAfee hit them with the ultimate switch-up, shouting, "Give me Alabama!" Examples like these are exactly why McAfee has a place in football media. He's the ultimate hype man and is a shot of energy into what normally would be ordinary segments. So, was Pat McAfee a great NFL player? He was very good, but not the GOAT of punters. However, in terms of his impact on sports and media, McAfee is an undeniable superstar. His transition from the NFL to the media is one of the most successful in history, and he's showing no signs of slowing down. But what do you think? What's your favorite Pat McAfee moment? Let me know in the comments. It's crazy to think that we're talking about a punter, but what Pat is doing in the media sphere made me want to find out what he was like as a player. If you enjoyed this video, stick with the halftime show so you don't miss out on future videos like these.